Flappy Bird is one of the biggest mobile games ever, but if you ask me, it's kinda boring. And with the modern day attention span, a game needs way more content to stay entertaining. So today, I'm gonna remake the game but add major gameplay changes and even a boss battle until the game is no longer recognizable. So first up, step 1 is to remake the original. Alright, so maybe my art is a little uncanny valley, but the point is we have Flappy Bird that works. You can fly around, pipe spawn and despawn as you go, and if you hit one, you die. Now we can start adding new stuff. I'm gonna start with simple additions and slowly work my way up to a boss battle for the end of the video. So first, let's add power-ups. Alright, my goal was to add 3 of them, but I only ended up getting like 1.5 done. You'll see what I mean. Here's what the power-ups look like, at least for now. To collect it, all you have to do is go up to this ball and touch it. So for the first one, I want to make a shield to protect you. It ended up looking pretty good, but when I went to test it, it didn't work. Luckily, after some trial and error, we got it pretty much working so that when you run into something, the shield goes away, but you don't die. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. This ball looks terrible. Come on, man. And you'd never think it's a power-up. I felt like it made sense to replace it with a question mark, and I really wish I was clip farming, but I actually could not make a question mark for the life of me. Eventually, I got it looking good enough and replaced the red ball. So with the shield working, I still want to add 2 more power-ups. These did not go well. The next one was supposed to be a speed boost, and yes, it worked, but it also looked terrible. So I only counted it as like half done, and I ended up fixing it later. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about the last power-up. My idea is that it would let you move smoothly up and down instead of jumping, so you had better control. I don't even hate the idea, but when I saw it in game, it looked so stupid. I ended up scrapping it and replacing it later, so don't get too attached to this garbage. But don't worry, the replacement is way better, you'll see. But after I finished that, it hit me. If we're gonna give the player something helpful like power-ups, then we should also add something hurtful like enemies. So that's what I'm gonna add next. Okay, here's the problem with enemies. I have no idea what fits for Flappy Bird. And good enemy design is super important, so I don't want to mess this up. But since you're constantly moving forward, it makes sense to put something on top of the pipe. That way, you'd be able to just move past them so long as you don't crash. So I started making a turret. Unfortunately, this came with 2 big problems. Even though it looked fine at first, once you started the game, the turret was facing the wrong way, and all the bullets it shot were facing the wrong way. But I actually didn't end up fixing this. At least, not like you think. Instead, I just separated the top part of the turret and only let that part rotate freely. Then, I replaced the bullet with these balls. These nuts! So even though they were rotated the wrong way, you couldn't actually tell. This, combined with some particles when it shoots, made the turret look really good, and I was ready to add more besides this floating one. All we have to do is write code so that they spawn on the top of the pipes. But when I did that, I could not get it to work. If the game doesn't have enemies, it's gonna suck. Luckily, I'm a genius, and even though I couldn't code it, I had another idea. I started pre-placing invisible turrets on the pipes. Then I just made a chance that they would become visible while you're playing. And it worked. But even though the turrets worked, the entire rest of the game is kinda broken now. And you can probably tell why. When you spawn in, you just get killed by turrets and can barely even play the game. There's nothing you can do against it. Luckily, for my next edition, I'm gonna fix that by giving the player guns. The plan is to add 3 guns that get progressively stronger so you can fight back against the turrets and eventually the boss battle. So I started with the weakest one, the pistol. I made the aiming simple so that the gun just followed your mouse around the screen. And you would think since I just made a turret that adding a pistol wouldn't be so hard. Luckily, after I spent way too much time fixing it, the first gun turned out cool as hell. There's still a lot to add before this game can be done, but at this point, I was feeling jubilant. Everything was working, the gameplay loop was fun, so I moved on to the second weapon, which is supposed to be an assault rifle. But the good news just keeps getting gooder. If I was jubilant before, dog, now I'm tickled. Because of the way I had set up the pistol, getting this gun to work just meant I had to change a couple numbers. So I did that, and it was beautiful. But unfortunately, the last gun won't be so easy. For this one, I want to make an RPG, so I started by making explosion particles for when it hits something. But also, remember earlier when the bullets were rotated the wrong way and I didn't fix it? Well, now the rocket launcher's shooting everything sideways. But once everything was working, it was by far the best weapon. But with that done, all the guns were working exactly like I wanted. Plus, to keep the game fast paced, I made them all have unlimited ammo so you could shoot as much as you wanted. You could switch between the weapons and each one was balanced with the turrets. But with as much fun as I'm having, we can't keep it like this. If we just give the player the guns, then there's no progression, and that takes a lot of the fun out of it. Instead, I'm gonna make you earn them. Have you noticed these coins around the map that don't do anything? Yeah, we should change that. I made a shop where you can buy the guns and each one gets more expensive. And most games would give you a starting pistol, but not this one. Like I said, you need to earn it. I made you start with no weapon, so for the first few rounds, you just have to collect as many coins as you can while you're getting mowed down by turrets. But once you get the pistol, you can fight back and it gets a lot easier. Yes, this made the game way harder, but it also gave it progression, which was way more fun. But with only 3 guns, there was only so much progression you could do. So I decided to add even more by adding upgrades. We need to add a shop for the player to buy upgrades, and I have a few ideas of what to add. First off, we have the health bar, so it only makes sense to add an upgrade for that. Then, since the player has weapons, an upgrade for their damage makes sense too. Then, after that, I ran out of ideas. There definitely needs to be a third upgrade, but honestly, I had no idea what to add. But then, as I was playing through the game, I saw a coin, and it hit me. I'm gonna make the third power-up luck, which affects how often you find coins and power-ups. So with the ideas laid out, now we just have to add it to the game. At this point, I felt like the shop looked pretty good, and I was really happy with the game because it felt so different from Flappy Bird now. This is great. What could possibly go wrong? Alright, time out. I was looking back on the dash power-up I made earlier, and it looked so bad. I just have to fix it. So you might be wondering, what's your plan to fix it? Well, I'm just gonna make a bunch of tiny improvements, and hopefully that works. I added text when you collect a power-up, lines to show that you're going fast, screen shake, a little bit of post-processing, and an explosion for the end, cause why not? So if you put all that together, it looks like this. And considering how it looked before, this is definitely a win in my books. So the dash power-up is a lot better now, but don't forget, the better control power-up was also pretty terrible. This one was pretty bad, so instead of fixing it, I just replaced it with a new one that gives you double coins for 30 seconds. And trust me, we definitely needed this. It was such a grind to get pretty much everything besides the pistol. With all of this, the game was feeling nothing like Flappy Bird. We had power-ups, a shop, enemies, and guns. I was feeling pretty good about it, but there was still one big thing I wanted to add. It's finally time for the boss battle. Boss battle is the biggest part of pretty much any video game, and now it's time to add one to Flappy Bird. My idea is that it's a big ship that has the same turrets from earlier, plus a bigger turret in the center which shoots huge lasers. So I got right to work on making it. First, I wanted to make the main gun in the center. The hard part here is getting the laser to look right. On its own, the laser turning on and off looked fine, but when I combined it with light and particles, it looked so much better. But clearly, this won't work. The entire rest of the ship was just a box, so we need to fix that. I made some pixel art so the turrets could go on either side while the main gun could go in the middle. It was looking okay, but I thought it would look even better if I added some fire coming out of the back. I grabbed the free pack, but it was a disaster. I ended up only keeping this tiny flame. I was happy with everything so far, but I was stuck on one thing. And that is, when should the boss even show up? Like, how does the player start the fight? In other games, you just go to the boss's room. But it's not like we can do that in this game. There's only so many directions you can go. I decided to write code to keep track of how far you've traveled and make the boss show up after you've gone a certain distance. That way, everyone would be able to fight the boss, but it was still a challenge to reach it. Plus, this gave the boost power-up an actual use because before this, going farther didn't really do anything for you. So with all that figured out, let's check out the boss battle in-game. Overall, I was super happy with it. It gave you something big to work towards because the turrets weren't a huge challenge once you had enough weapons. But when they were combined with this laser, which could block off huge parts of the map, it was way harder. If you want to play this game for yourself, you can find it on my Discord server or on itch.io. And if you liked this video, then you should check out this one where I made a game that has fake lag just to piss people off. Anyway, thank you for watching and please subscribe.